Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to show you and talk to you about the new Nars Natural Radiant Longwear Foundation. However, as I live in the UK and we've only just been able to get this for the first time like a week ago, I know I am way late to the party for those of you in the US who've had this foundation for like a month now. So what I thought would be more helpful, as there are hundreds and hundreds of reviews already on the Natural Radiant and lots of wear tests, so if you want to see that, you can find it very easily. I think that has been done and dusted. So what I thought might be more useful at this point was to compare the Natural Radiant Longwear with the original Sheer Glow foundation. Lots of people are sort of drawing similarities between the two, saying they're both Nars foundations. You know, they both are supposed to have a like luminous finish to them. So if I have this one, do I need this one? Or if I love this one, am I going to like this one? Or if I have neither, which should I get? So I thought it might be useful to do a comparison for you, put them both on my face so you can see if there are any differences, let you know my thoughts in general. I'm a big Nars foundation fan. I started off with the All Day Luminous. This was the first foundation I had from Nars, and it was like my ride or die for a good year until I just found better that I liked more. For me, this is the foundation, like the description of this foundation is what the Natural Radiant actually is. I don't find the All Day Luminous to be luminous at all, and it is quite tricky to work with and apply. It uses a very tiny one drop, and they want you to apply this with hands. So if you're not wanting to do that, which I'm personally not wanting to apply foundation with my hands, then it is quite tricky to get the like perfect finish that you can get with your hands. But that is just not my bag. So you need to use a very tiny amount. You need to warm it in the palm of your hands or warm it on a tray and then apply with fingers before blending out with a sponge. That's what I do, and it's a bit high maintenance. Yeah, and if you're not willing to do that, if you just want to whack it on with a sponge, then to me it looks too heavy, it looks too cakey, and it's just not my favourite. You can see the frosted glass. This has got the most similar packaging to the Natural Radiant. They are very similar. It's just like the Natural Radiant has been on a diet and grown a little bit. But otherwise, the packaging is exactly the same. Sheer Glow, for some unknown reason, doesn't come with a pump. You have to buy the pump separately. So this is a couple of pounds cheaper, but you do have to spend a couple of pounds on the pump. So essentially all three foundations cost the same amount. But these two come with pumps, and the Sheer Glow you have to buy the pump separately. The All Day Luminous and the Sheer Glow have the same exact shade range, whereas the Natural Radiant has come out with extra shades, which is amazing. None of these foundations have any SPF in them whatsoever. The Sheer Glow is supposed to be a medium coverage with like a natural / radiant finish. To me, it's a satin finish, just about, and I'd say the coverage is like light to medium. I don't find it gives me a full medium. I still have redness showing through with this one, and yeah, I'd say the finish, I think people expect this to be glowing because it has the word glow in the name, but I think it's much more matte / satin matte, let's say. All Day Luminous is just matte to me. I don't see any luminosity really when I apply this. It is just, to me, matte. Whereas the Natural Radiant Longwear is supposed to have a radiant finish, and in my opinion it really does have a radiant, very luminous finish. These two are supposed to be full coverage. Both the All Day Luminous and the Natural Radiant are supposed to be full coverage, and I do agree that they both are really full coverage. These two are both supposed to be really long wearing. They both claim to be 16 hours of wear, and like the new Natural Radiant is also supposed to be transfer proof, budge proof, life proof, weatherproof, all that kind of stuff. The Sheer Glow doesn't seem to have a wear time on it, so I don't think it necessarily claims to be the longest wearing foundation. So without further ado, let's get these two on my face and see what the difference is, if any. If there is a difference, let's find out. So as always, when I'm showing you foundations, I have primed my skin with my Stila One Step Correct, because as we know, it is just your bog standard primer. It's not going to add any luminosity, it's not going to mattify, it's not going to do anything funky to the foundations that they wouldn't do already. So as we know, here are the two bottles. Obviously the Natural Radiant has a taller, thinner bottle, and the Sheer Glow is shorter and stockier, let's say. Also swatched these on my arm just to show how close they are in shade, and they are, as far as I can see, identical in shade. So at the top is Sheer Glow and at the bottom is the Natural Radiant. So I'm just going to start off by doing a pump of each on my palette to see consistency, how they compare. So this is one pump of each. And the Sheer Glow is like immediately starting to run, whereas the Natural Radiant is just staying still. So immediately that tells me that it's a bit thicker. And also you can see that the Sheer Glow, the pump is, hopefully you can see that, but the pump is basically considerably bigger of a pump than the Natural Radiant. So I'm going in with one pump to start off with the Sheer Glow, and I'm going to go on this side of my face. All Nars foundations will say that they should be applied with hands or with fingers, which is not my bag. But that is how Nars think that their foundations apply best and how they would recommend that you apply them. So that is one pump of the Sheer Glow, and at the moment it's kind of giving me light to medium coverage, I would say. Now one pump of the Natural Radiant, which as I said is much smaller of a pump than the Sheer Glow. What I love about this, the way it applies, is it's so quick and so easy to get to full coverage. Like literally that is it. So this has immediately given me full coverage, one pump, and very quick to blend out. That's what I love about this foundation, or one of the things that I love about this foundation is it is so quick to apply, so easy, no mess, no effort, no like, you know, working it in, no problems whatsoever. So immediately the coverage on the Natural Radiant is significantly better than on the Sheer Glow side, which you would expect as it's supposed to be the full coverage beast. Go back in and build this up slightly because Sheer Glow is supposed to be a medium coverage, and right now it's more light to medium. So that is now 2 pumps on this side of my face. I'm going to go in with one more dot, not a full pump, like half a pump on this side, just to make sure everything is even and we're at full coverage. So I guess what that would say is that you're definitely going to use more product with the Sheer Glow, because that was 2 pumps to do a decent medium on this side, and like 1.5 to get to very full on this side. So you're probably going to use a pump or 2 more with the Sheer Glow, and the pumps are larger than with the Natural Radiant. So I feel like the Natural Radiant is going to last you a lot longer. Okay, so I feel like that is the coverage that both these foundations are like claiming to be now. So the Natural Radiant is now at full and the Sheer Glow is now at medium, which is what they claim to do coverage wise. Let's zoom in. Okay, so here you can see there is a bit of a glow, but obviously it's still drying down a little. So I don't think this stays this dewy. It does like dry almost to matte. You can still see that my beauty marks are showing through, and you can still see quite a bit of redness in this area as well. And this is the Natural Radiant side. You can just about see this beauty mark here, but there is no redness, no discoloration showing through, and again you've got that same sort of luminosity on the skin. However, I do find that the Natural Radiant actually does stay this luminous as opposed to the Sheer Glow side, which by the time I finish my makeup generally has like mattified. I've just taken a quick flash photo to see how the white cast is doing with these foundations. There is a slight white cast there, but neither is awful. If anything, I think maybe the Natural Radiant is slightly flashing back. Now these foundations have dried down, I feel like the Natural Radiant is looking just a hair lighter than the Sheer Glow, which might explain why it looks slightly lighter in those flash photos. So now I'm just going to finish off the rest of my makeup, and we'll come back and when everything has dried down have a real close look at what is the difference between these 2 foundations. Okay, so I am back. I have done the rest of my makeup, and with either of these foundations there is no issue with anything going on top of it. I used cream contour, I used liquid highlighter today, so there is never going to be any issue with anything going on top of it for me. Obviously you can see I've got highlight on, and I feel like the Natural Radiant side is much more radiant, and I feel like it is smoother as well. However, they are similar. The biggest difference is the coverage, that the Sheer Glow does not cover my redness, and you can still see some coming through here, and it definitely doesn't cover things like beauty marks and stuff like that, whereas the Natural Radiant literally covers everything but still very much looks like skin. I also find that, me personally, the Sheer Glow can look cakey on me if I'm not very careful, and I want to build it up because I want to cover my redness, and when I start to do that it starts to go cakey and heavy, whereas with this one I actually used like 4 or 5 pumps the other day because I just didn't know how much it needed, and it still never looked cakey. It still always looked like skin. It still always looked natural, despite the fact that it is really full coverage. So I just want to show you mega close up. This is the Natural Radiant side. To me, it really does look exactly the description of the foundation. It looks natural. It does look really radiant and luminous without there being any like dew. The Sheer Glow side, to me, obviously excluding the part of my cheekbone that I've highlighted, it does look flatter, it does look heavier to me, and you can still see redness showing through, which is obviously, these are the reasons why I prefer the Natural Radiant foundation. If these foundations have soaked into my smile lines, it does look like this one has soaked in worse, which is the Natural Radiant side. However, I do know from my previous comparison video that this smile line is apparently worse than this one, which is why that's happened. But yeah, both of these soaked into my smile lines, which every foundation does that. There is some texture around my chin, which it does look better than it normally does, but it isn't like gone. However, I do find when I use my Fenty primer, which is more smoothing, that looks way better, and nothing's weird or crazy has happened between my eyebrows or with my forehead lines or anywhere else on either side. So the price of these is the exact same, barring the fact that this is like not got a pump, so it's £2 cheaper or something, or $2 cheaper if you're in the US. But I feel like this one will last you like twice as long because you do need less product. Obviously this is a medium coverage, but you need like 4 or more pumps to get to medium, whereas this is full, and you probably need 1 or 2 to get to full. So you are going to use less to achieve their desired outcomes, I guess. To me, this is like currently pushing to be my all-time favorite foundation. I think it is beautiful. I definitely think it wears very well. I've not tested the 16-hour claim yet, but I have tested like 13 or 14, and it literally looks immaculate at the 13-14 hour mark, although I will say that I have normal skin, so if you were very oily, that may be less for you. I did always find that the All Day Luminous foundation lasted incredibly well, so I do believe their claim, because I know Nars can do long wearing foundations. I don't personally find that the Sheer Glow wears anywhere near the same amount of time as the 2 long wearing foundations, but that is obviously, it doesn't claim to be a long wearing foundation. These two both claim to be 16-hour wearing. The Sheer Glow does not have a claim, I don't think, that I could find, so it doesn't claim to be long wearing. So, you know, if you're just going to work, that's fine, but for a wedding or something, I would definitely plump for one of these if you need your foundation to be on and perfect past the 8-hour mark, because this for me is going from my chin, going from my nose, starting to fade as of 8 hours. I will also say that, as you can see now on my wrist, that these have completely dried down. It's not coming across quite as obvious on camera, but in person the Sheer Glow is about half a shade darker and pulling more peach to my naked eye, and the Radiant is pulling slightly more golden than peach and like a hair lighter. So that's just something to consider for shade. To get like a perfect match, I'd need a sort of golden or olive toned shade that's in between Punjab and Stromboli, because Stromboli in the winter is just a little bit too dark, and Fiji is way too light. Punjab is a little too light for my body, but it really matches my face and neck really well, so it's quite a nice balance between those two, as my chest is a lot darker than my face. There you have it. I hope you found that somewhat helpful. If you're trying to choose between these foundations, if you already have the Sheer Glow and you're wondering if you need this one, I think if you already have this one and you love it, then it's close enough that you don't need this one. To me, I love this one way more than the Sheer Glow, but I was never that much of a fan of this one. Anyway, this one is like my new ride or die. I'm really struggling to put any other foundation on my face, despite the fact that I have every foundation there is. I'm reaching for this one every day. I'm excited to put it on because it just looks so beautiful. If there's any questions I didn't answer in the video, please feel free to ask them in the comments section down below. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe before you go, because I would love to see you again. Otherwise, take care for now. Bye 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 bye.